Okay, so today we are solving LeetCode question 5, which is a medium question, the longest palindromic substring. So basically you are given this input string s, and you will have to return the palindromic substring, which is considered the longest within the string s. So here, as you can see, for example, BAB is considered a palindromic substring. As you can see, B starting from A, B and B matches, and also same goes for ABA. Because from like the point B, as you can see, B and A on each side matches. So yeah, this is pretty straightforward question. So to solve this, we are going to use a two-pointer and the center approach. Basically, what it means is, for example, let's um, write it down here real quick. So B, A, D, right? So we are using two pointers and the center approach. So basically what it means is that we're going to start from the center, and then we're going to expand from there and then go over the matches. And then if it does, we're going to use like mathmax to get the max number, well, max length of the substring, basically. So yeah, that's that. And then how we are going to approach this question is just like the usual two pointers. We're going to have two variables, start and end. And then as we go over the s length of this string s, we're going to have this this really simple helper function. I wrote this down here to get even and odd for a certain string. So for example, as you can see, the strings can be either even or odd. So we are using two different approaches for these two cases. So for example, if it's odd, like the length of the string is odd, so that means we can actually have this actual middle point. However, if it's not, we are going to do a little bit differently by setting the middle point I, and also consider the one next to that. I will explain it as I go along, but yeah, that's that. And then so basically we're gonna get so for each instance we are getting two different cases, even and odd cases of values, and from there we're gonna get like we're gonna use the mathmax to compute the right length among those two cases. And then let's say if the length happens to be um, the value gets, well, the value happens to be larger than this instance, for example, then in this way we are going to, update the start and ending point, because we're also updating it to get this question right through the process. And after that, we are simply just returning the substring of the string s, starting from s and up until end. Also in Java, we are starting, this is a starting point, and this has to have extra one value into that, because this one is considered as like a wall value. So it would get return the value up until -1 up to of this value. So it has to be, if you want to return up until end, we actually have to say end plus 1. And then this is basically helper. So this helper, as I've explained earlier here, this one works as if the two pointers, but starting from the center approach, from the certain ith index that we're going to set up. So yeah, that's pretty much it for the explanation part, and then we're going to start coding. So we're going to have two variables, a and b, and then from there we are going to loop through the string of an s. So it's going to be this, and again, as I've told you earlier, it's going to be a substring start and end plus 1. Actually, let me change their names, right? And then, so for example, here we are gonna do int a. So in even case and odd cases, right? So in even case we are returning s and I, and then same goes for helper. And then as you can see, in even, well, this is even case because it has like full values. Because in this case, we are we're going to have plus extra 1 for that, because in odd cases, as you can see, we are starting from like this one value because this is the middle point. But in even case, we would have to shift to the right part by here, so that we can compare um, the the palindromic substring value. And after that, before we move on, let's actually make the helper function really quick. So it's going to be int public int helper and string s int left and int right. So basically what it does is, I actually wrote it here. So while left and right satisfies the limitation, it's going to be length, and s char at left equals to char at right. So as long as they're equal, we're going to continue expanding the two-pointer thing. So we're going to do plus plus and no minus minus and right plus plus. And after that, we would have to return right minus left plus basically -1, because, for example, let's say this is actually, let's say this one is B instead of D, because in that case we are returning the full values, right? And so right value would be 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 0. So 4 minus 0 is, and from there we also have to get the -1 value, because so that we can return the correct value from there. And so let's say we got the right value, and then int file would be mathmax even and odd, right? And then if the value happens to be greater than the end minus star plus 1, in that case we're gonna have to update start and end. So start and end, for example, let's say we are looping, our ith index is here, right, which is 0, 0, 1, 2. So starting would, in this case, starting would be here. Start has to be 1, and ending point has to be the one after that, right? So it's gonna be basically val divided by 2. For example, val, because in this case val is 3, right? Did I hold on 1 second? I just wanted to make sure I didn't. Oh, okay, I'm stupid. There you go. Chart at left is equal to chart right. Left goes there, right goes that way. There you go. Okay. Yeah, cause just to like add on to the helper explanation, because we're doing like -1 here. For example, as you can see, in case of the race car, right? Because this one would, at the very end, it would still trigger this too. So like we're gonna get extra values, but because to prevent that, we have to do -1, so that we get the right value for that. For example, this way, we would return 7 instead of 8, which is like 1 extra values over. Correct? Yeah. So yeah, that's that. And then so starting point would be I minus val -1 divided by 2. Because let's say, for example, we can use like one example point. Again, I is second, I second index here, which is 0, 1, 0, 1, 2. So in this case, val is going to be 3, right? So it's, for example, here it's going to be 2 minus 3 minus 1 is 2, divided by 2 is 1. So I value is going to be 1. Well, the starting value is going to be 1. Then end value would be 2 plus value, which is 3, divided by 2, which is 1.5. But in this case, it's 1, because that's how the Java returns the value, because it's int value. So it's going to be 3. So 1, 3 is the correct answer for that. So let's run that. There you go. It works. There you go. It does work. The fastest time complexity of n square, because we are the way we are conducting this, starting from here, for every instance we're gonna loop, we are basically looping through from there. So yeah, thanks for watching, and That was the question 5 of LeetCode problem.